Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now May 1st of 2023, and a lot of Star Wars fans are really getting much anticipated for the upcoming Ahsoka Tano series, given that it is a 100% Dave Filoni written Star Wars show, and that Kathleen Kennedy had zero involvement in this project, which is nice because this is going to be the first Star Wars project in a very, very long time that we have not seen any of Kathleen Kennedy's hands-on or input on, and I think it really is the main reason why Disney executives are so overconfident about the show, of it being the home run, quote-unquote, of Disney Plus Star Wars. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now, there's been a lot of things happening between Bob Iger and the Disney executives and the current Disney shakeup that's been going on for the past couple of months, and how he really is trying to regulate both Marvel and Star Wars. And that brings us to the whole Kathleen Kennedy scenario. Now, we know that Kathleen Kennedy has been struggling greatly with both the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew for quite a very long time now, mind you. I mean, there's been a lot of things happening with those shows through various reshoots and rewrites and delays and setbacks. It's why you have not gotten a release date just yet, even for Skeleton Crew, which comes out this year, by the way. We don't even have a release date framed, even. We don't even know if it's coming out in the winter, the fall, or what. But overall, there's a lot of things happening right now with Kathleen Kennedy, and it really is a telltale about what her fate is going to be like over at Lucasfilm and where everything is heading. So let's tap right into that. Now, we know that there's a lot of developments happening over at Lucasfilm that will be announced at this year's D23 event. However, with that being put out there, with Kathleen Kennedy currently having many issues with the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew, creators Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are preparing to make some big announcements for the fandom. However, recently Kathleen Kennedy made a big, premature decision to quit from various Star Wars projects as a producer, which is a big telltale sign that things aren't going too well on her end over at Lucasfilm. Now, recently Kennedy informed Disney executives that she would be stepping down as a producer for multiple shows or projects. This involved Ahsoka Season 2, Mando Season 4, the Thrawn and Ezra spinoff that will actually be announced later this year, as well as a brand new animated show that will serve as a sequel to the Clone Wars. The main reasoning behind her stepping down or quitting from said projects prematurely had much to do with the fact that Kennedy was not pleased with the fact that she now no longer has any kind of creative control over those shows, and she has been very offended over the fan backlash of The Mandalorian Season 3. Since this is a project that she had much control over, Kennedy felt that she had to step down from the 4th season of Mando after the backlash as a producer, since she viewed this as a pointless involvement if she had no creative control and or say in the series, let alone for Ahsoka Season 2 as well, that is already in early development. Now, let me just, point something out here that I think is very important to the entire fandom, is the fact that Kathleen Kennedy had to do this a long time ago. Let's just be honest. I mean, this is a starting point about what should really be done ultimately, and the ultimate thing is to just fire her entirely as, the president of Lucasfilm, which, by the way, we've talked about this various times, that basically that's all dependent on the success or failure of Indiana Jones 5. And let's be clear about that. It really is a real dependent thing. The fact that Indiana Jones 5 would have to not do well at the box office, not get great fan reception, to get Kathleen Kennedy out of Lucasfilm by this August. That's basically the deal that a lot of Disney executives agreed upon, and it has now been made final. We've talked about this before, and it's interesting that this, though, is coming just a little while before Indy 5's release of Kennedy stepping down as a producer for a handful of shows. Now, there's more shows than the one said that she is planning to step down from as well, but has not yet, which could also be a very big sign about what's to come. Could it mean that she's not confident in Indy 5 and she knows what's coming? That's possible too, because she knows the ramifications if this movie fails. We already know that the Indiana Jones series, and I say the series, not the movie, the show, was actually already canned. It was canceled. They had plans for an Indy 5 show in live action on Disney Plus or something around those lines, and that just fell apart. So the thing about this in particular that I think is very reassuring is the fact that she will not have any kind of involvement financially over those shows. Not that she had any kind of creative involvement to begin with. She did still have control financially over some of those projects. We're talking about the budgeting or budgeting restraints, stuff around those lines. How much the actors are going to be paid and whatnot, who's going to be cast, little things like that. So she's out of those projects, which I think is great news, but there's more to the story. Now, Kennedy's initial plan, before she lost her creative power or freedom a while ago, was to end the entire Mandalorian show at a season 3. She never wanted it to continue to a 4, 5, or 6, for example, which could explain why she did what she did with the ending in season 3 that didn't agree with many fans around the world. Kennedy also recently fell into creative issues with Pedro Pascal after his firing from Skeleton Crew only to make a couple of cameo appearances to the audience. Kennedy believes that the fans have been overreacting for what was done in Mando Season 3. And I don't think fans were overreacting at all. I think that fans just had valid issues with the third installment. There's no doubt about that. I, myself included, had quite a number of problems and reservations about Mando Season 3. I really did not fully invest myself in the show on an enjoyment level because it just did not really kick in that way. I feel like it was a very big different turn comparison to Mando Season 2 or even Season 1 for that matter. So the other part of this story that's really intriguing is the fact that Bob Iger, the Disney CEO, had a lot of things to do with this, surprisingly, is the fact that basically he's been giving her ultimatums ever since she did some unapproved reshoots for Skeleton Crew and the Acolyte and, things around those lines. He really got the Disney executives involved to intervene, and basically Kathleen Kennedy got in a lot of trouble for that. She got in some serious issues with Disney and what she did with the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew, and it was not good for her on the sets of those shows. So that really does, make you wonder what's going to happen to the Acolyte, what's going to happen to Skeleton Crew. You could expect more delays. I don't think they'll be canceled. Let's be realistic here. I don't see these shows getting canceled, but some of the executives did go far to make a proposal that maybe they should make the Acolyte a non-canon series because of how much, of the test screenings were just not meeting their expectations. They're just not enjoying the show. And I think that's why they're pulling back on the marketing. They're holding back on unveiling a shred of footage to the public and only to Star Wars Celebration attendees. And so, there's that. So overall, I would love to hear what you guys have to say about all of this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
From night to moon.